Hey, I'm Mark,
And I'm Craig.
and this is Songwriter's Tales.
Who is
And
that?
what is he doing here? Oh, thi
Was this today?
Hey, wait a minute. We're doing our
yeah,
intro, buddy.
where
What?
oh my gosh. And
Okay.
this is our special guest, John. Well, we knew him as John Ford Coley. His name is actually John Coley. But John Ford Coley, welcome. And go ahead
Tell
and
us what's going to go on, John.
tell us what you're going to talk about.
Mayhem, disaster of biblical proportions is going to be.
All right. That's all we need. Well, let's do it. Mark, what do you say?
Let's do it.
That is awesome. I love it. I love it. Can I switch gears here for a minute?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry. I go down rabbit trails.
No,
No, the
man.
rabbit holes are good.
I
Rabbit
mean,
holes are good.
Mark and I are just thinking about signing off and letting you take this whole show, man. We love it. You're killing us. It's awesome. So I'm just reading some of your things here. It says Coley, they're calling you Coley here, plays with groups and artists including Ambrosia, Terry Sylvester of the Hollies, guitar player,
Yeah.
Three Dog Night. Of course, that's been a while, probably. I'm guessing.
No,
unless-
actually, we played recently together.
that's right. They've got a couple of new guys filling in with
Danny Hutton's the
with
only
Danny.
one left.
That's right. That's right. And I see Lou Graham of Foreigner, one of my absolute favorite
Man,
singers.
me too.
And this guy, seriously, Christopher Cross, man. I mean, Stephen Bishop, Al Stewart, Edgar Winter. So I assume you're playing piano, not the drums for those guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a terrible drummer, but we kind of got a new lease on life on the yacht rock thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we all come out and play. I play with Ambrosia most of the time. We'll have somebody like Peter Beckett from Player, Baby Come Back,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Elliot Lurie from Looking Glass. He wrote and sang Brandy.
Brandy, that's right. Yep.
Walter Egan, but we played with Al Stewart and Christopher. Christopher was a hoot to play with.
Man.
These are some of my favorite artists in the world.
And we also did a lot of stuff with Gary Wright.
Wow.
Love him too.
So
Gary Wright, he played with Frampton for a while, didn't he? Did I have
with
that
who?
right? Frampton, Peter Frampton.
I don't know. You know, I have no idea.
Spooky Tooth. He was with Spooky Tooth. That's what it was.
Okay, he was in Spooky Tooth.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Okay, so that would have been that connection.
Yeah. Okay. Man,
some of these guys have histories. Like, for example, Peter Beckett. He went off and did a whole stint with. They put him in the group, Little River Band.
Oh,
yeah.
So he was playing all that time doing stuff. And the number of people that we run across now, you know, a lot of my heroes, people that I worked with before, like Richie Furay from Buffalo Springfield and Poco.
Sure.
You know, you just kind of reconnect again. And the ironic thing is nobody's got a big ego now. We all realize that we're out here pretty much by the grace of God, and that's
For
about
sure.
it.
and
sure.
having
That
fun and just having fun.
Yeah.
I mean,
We're having a good time. Like with Ambrosia. Those guys are my family. Nobody fights. Nobody gets in arguments or anything like that. We just kind of go out and do it because we've been around one another for such a long time.
That is
It really
great.
is a family.
That's fun.
And not in the sense that when they say you're family at church, which means that you're probably in a lot of trouble, we actually get along. You know?
Yeah. You're actually being real.
Yeah.
Hey, do you happen to know? I'm going to just ask this off. I always like to ask questions pre-show so I can get a positive answer, but I don't mind having a no from you because you're killing me. Do you happen to know a fella there in Nashville named Alan Shacklock?
I do not.
Okay, Alan is up in Nashville.
should.
He's
Familiar name. But
he's
then
a
again,
great
though,
guy.
remember, Nashville has changed dramatically in the last
It
several
has.
years.
Well, Alan's from
Mhm.
London. Alan's from London.
Okay.
He produced Roger Daltrey and Meatloaf and Jeff Beck, and he was in a band
Okay.
called Babe Ruth early
Babe
on.
Ruth. Yeah.
And
But-
anyway, I didn't know if you knew him or not because you were mentioning he was good friends with John Bonham and all those guys back in the '60s. But that's what you're telling us are the great stories, you know, because we're hearing all these great stories from back then that nobody out there knows about, you know?
Mm.
There's a whole world out there. Mark, I know you got more.
Oh, I do, I do. I want to know kind of what you're writing these days. I mean, do you write classical music? Do you
I do. As a matter of fact, when I come up and I play, I don't ever practice. I just play. I come up into the studio here and just play Bach and Beethoven and
Mhm.
those things because not number one, it keeps my fingers in very good shape. It
Yeah,
keeps my brain going right brain, left brain. And if I play something, it's going to have an overtone of classical somewhere. There's really not a market for us any longer. If we say we're going to do a new record and we're going to put it on the radio, there is no radio. There's no place for us to do stuff. So we sell it either at the concert or online. And that's the only avenues that you have. Plus, people are so enraptured by what we did previously. When I get up on stage,
sure.
I might play, if I play by myself, I might play one, maybe two new songs. People are not familiar with it, so they don't relate to it. They've
That's
actually
right.
come there to go down memory lane to
Sure.
remember when Bobby stood them up at the prom, and things like that. And I'm not going to sit here and try to shove a whole new format down your throat. I'm
No.
going to give you what you've come to hear. You paid hard money for that, and that's pretty much what we do, all of us.
Okay.
You know?
But so when you're just in your studio noodling though, are you always writing, do you always having new things kinda pop into your head?
There's always something new. I mean, you can't sit there. My entire life is mistakes. And so the more adventurous you get on the keyboard, for example, or the guitar, you find that you discover stuff.
Mhm.
The only thing that I've had difficulty with is when I was about, gosh, Dan, it was about 1974. I had been doing karate a lot and I damaged my hand. So there was a
Mm.
nerve, my thumb wouldn't function properly. It really affected my guitar, but piano was fine. And then when I turned 70 a couple of years ago, I took up boxing. I re-damaged my hand again. And you gotta understand, I have been very, very liberal with my hands. I worked horses for all those years. I've been around ropes. I've been
Mhm.
around, halters and stuff, and you're gonna lose something. But I didn't. And so now for me to lose that, I can't really finger pick anymore. So it sounds like a duck landing on water, it's a
Yeah.
Mhm.
and I just tell everybody, so guys, this is what's happened. I'm 77 years old for crying out loud. I'm not a spring chicken anymore,
Man,
but but I can still do one push up a day. It's okay.
one
There
a
you
day.
go.
So
That
one a
works.
day, absolutely.
Looks
I'm
great
on
on you
top of it.
too, man. It looks great on you. It's working.
So but when I play, I'll write things that are new. But I just enjoy playing a lot of the old things. I've actually started playing other people's songs more than I've ever done it before.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I was in the Philippines, and they said, "Do you know Leader of the Band by Dan Fogelberg?" And I went, "I do know it. I don't play it out. I don't play anybody's songs out but my own,
Mhm.
but I'll play it at home." They said, "Would you play it?" And I went, "Okay. Yeah, sure. That sounds like fun." I did. I've been playing it ever since. They think that I'm Dan Fogelberg in the Philippines. They think that I wrote and played that song because everybody knows it now from me. And you just kind of go, okay, I'll take it. I'm
That's
not going to fight that one.
That's
So,
awesome.
y-
I mean, you guys all know each other or all knew each other, so, I mean, it's like and when Leader of the Band, I mean, it's
yeah,
probably one of the
great
greatest
song.
songs ever.
I absolutely think that man was a genius.
No question.
And
No
and then
question.
and the whole thing with knowing one another, I figured that I was the luckiest person alive at that time because when you go into Hollywood, especially during that time, everybody knew everybody. You were close. And one of the greatest stories that I'd ever had was when Dan and I were doing the first record. We had an engineer from Germany, Henry Louis, and so one day I went into the studio early. Henry's in there getting everything prepared for the session. And we're just sitting there. And all of a sudden he turns to me and he says, "John, who do you really like?" And I said, "Oh, Henry, I'm not really a mainstream kind of guy. I like people that are very unique." I said, like, for example, have you ever heard of a girl by the name of Joni Mitchell? And he looked at me like a cow at a new gate. And he said, "Are you kidding me?" He says, "Really? You're serious?" And I said, "Yeah. Have you heard of her?" And he said, John, I'm her producer. She's recording in Studio C on Saturday. Come over. So I
Man,
went over there. I missed James Taylor by about maybe 10, 15 minutes. He had just played on A Case of You on the Blue album.
Whoa.
So I'm sitting there watching her record All I Really Want. And last time I saw Richard, just her, piano, dulcimer, me, and Henry. And I got to know her, and it was like, this happened all the time. It wasn't
wow.
something that
That
was
was a great
sporadic sort
time.
of
That
thing.
was a
It
great
was a
time.
great time.
Yeah.
And you just constantly ran into people. Then we had people like Dick Clark and Herb Alpert, who really took a liking to us. Herb put us on the label. Dick Clark put us on so many shows, Captain and Tennille, David Soul's Special, Hollywood Squares. He just kept going on. And I love that man to death. I mean, first of all, he was a genius.
Yeah, he
And
was.
to be able to be in that presence was really a good life experience.
That is,
So
you know,
I got lucky. I
Yeah.
got lucky.
Well, I think you create luck when you're talented, and you guys earned your spot there. So, I mean, but you're right. I mean, it's as Craig and I have said, and we've talked to everybody on this in this podcast, it's always about relationships. And it's
It
like
is.
the fact that you're talking to this producer and you say, "Yeah, I'm a big Joni Mitchell fan." And he's like, "Oh, I happen to be her producer. Would you like to?"
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, one of the ones that was really a surprise to me, we had already played with Carole King, and we knew, a bunch of these people, Seals and Crofts, Chicago. Well, Dan Hicks and the Hot Licks canceled out on Elton John on a tour because they got a stint on the Johnny Carson show. Be there. So they canceled out. They throw us in to play 2 dates in Milwaukee and Minneapolis. And they said, "You're going to go out with Elton John." And I went, "Great, great. Who the hell's Elton John?" I had no idea, right? So we play. He pulls us on another show in San Diego because it was just Dan and I, two acoustic guitars. That was it. I didn't play piano at that time. So there was no competition when we played with Elton. It's the first time you're hearing that instrument when he comes out.
yeah.
Next thing we know, he's in Japan. We get a call. "I want you to come to England with me for a month. We're going to be over there. We're going to do all these dates." Watched him play with Mark Bolan, went all over the country. I ended up, although I'd just kind of gotten married, I had a little fling with a girl by the name of Corinne. Beautiful girl. Her dad was one of the guys that was photographing all of the concentration camps that was going on.
mm-hmm.
She ended up working for David Bowie, being his girlfriend for a while. And so now I walk around going, "Yeah, me and David Bowie, we dated the same girl for a while." That's right.
That sounds like a song right there, man.
By golly,
Right.
you know what? It's going to come right out of this keyboard right after we get off this
I
thing.
love it. A little interesting thing here, Mark. That's the second time that Dan Fogelberg's leader of the band has come up on our podcast. The last one, do you remember the last one?
I remember, but I don't remember who it was.
It was John Barry.
Oh, that's
Wow.
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
John's a good guy.
John's a great guy. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
because I know. Yeah, and then I want to say something. Of course, when I knew you were coming on the show, John, I did research and was pulling up videos and that kind of thing, some recent videos and some earlier ones, and of course, you're singing really want to be with you tonight, and I'm listening to it, I'm going, and then I went, wait a minute. I said, did he sing that? Because you sound exactly like the record. I mean, obviously it's not exactly, but to my ear, not being super familiar with it, you guys, your voice was just like pristine right in there for the lead on it. And so when you were talking about you did mostly harmonies and that kind of thing, man, that's pretty cool. I mean, you've got,
Dan and I, we had a similar style.
yeah,
The only difference is that when I sang lead, Dan was what I called pedantic. So everything was just, it would drop right on the note. To sing with Dan was a harmony singer's dream because, again, it was right there.
You knew
I'm
where
very
he's gonna be.
syncopated. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm syncopated. So if I sang, Dan couldn't sing harmony. He couldn't figure it out. He wasn't a harmony singer. So I would have to sing harmony to myself. And it was really good, but it's like if I did a lot of it, it began to sing or sound like it was two different artists on the same record.
Mhm.
But doing that, we did have a similar sound.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a thing that happened. We were doing the first record, and that was The Nights Forever Without You. I ended up getting strep throat. So when I went in and tried to sing, Kyle, our producer, said, John, he says, man, you're singing sharp. He says, I've never seen you sing sharp before. He said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put Dan's vocal up to the time that you come in. When you come in, I'm going to cut Dan's vocal out instead of you singing with him. Because normally what I did was I just listened to Dan and we put a
Mhm.
little bit of the guitar. That way I could match very, very simply. Well, he comes along, he cuts Dan out. I sing that entire song, even the higher harmonies, not hearing anything, but because Dan was so predictable in where he was going to land, I just went with it.
Wow.
When did the new version of Really Love to See You Tonight. As you can tell, I'm a prankster and I like to joke.
Yeah.
Kyle Lenning, who was our producer, actually on the original, and then he did the thing on the
Mhm.
current one with Dan. I said, hey, Kyle, want me to channel Dan so that we can feel like Dan's in the room? And he went, okay. I went, ah! And he started laughing because that's what Dan would do every time he would step up to the mic. And we've got the thing, on 10. And so our hair's blowing back,
Clear.
paint's peeling on the wall. So, we just do stuff like that.
God, that is fun. Well, there you go. Kyle was on our show not too long ago.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I didn't realize that did you know they worked
I
together, Mark?
did.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
yeah, because I remember him saying that, he was talking about that was like I mean, wasn't that kinda one of his first big breaks too?
That was
Was
his big break.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what
as a
I
matter of
thought.
fact, he ended up working for Atlantic Records and getting Asylum Records at that time. And I
Mhm.
mean, if you can imagine what the things that went on back at that time. First of all, we played more ping pong than we played music. That was for
Mhm.
sure. And I was the champion. There was a lake. Dan was a fisherman. He'd take a rod and reel and he would bait it and throw it into the lake, put it in a container, come back to the house, and he had a telescope. And so he would finish the take on the music. He'd run over to that telescope, see if he had a bite. If he had a bite, he'd run down to the lake and
My gosh,
take it and throw it back into the ocean.
Yeah.
I
that
mean,
is
stuff that went on. So,
that is good. That is good.
You must have had some, like, really special memories of working
oh,
with
I did.
Dan, because I mean, obviously, I don't know, I never knew him, but he just seemed like such a good guy.
Well, we used to do really weird things. Like Dan wrote a song called Dowdy Ferry Road, and it ended up being the title. Well, the way that came about was Dan and I would go down to the swamps and we'd hunt cottonmouth water moccasins, just
Lord.
with little pistols. I almost got bit one time. I hated those things. So that's pretty much how that came about. And then years later, I wrote one on an album called Eclectic, and it's called Cottonmouth Grove. It's kind of a continuation of
Mhm.
Dan's song, but it's more voodoo, So
Mhm.
that's my future ex-wife tells me I'm going to burn in hell all the time over that song. So
My future ex-wife.
yeah,
It's
God,
it's
that's
so
funny.
cool to hear these stories, and, I was just gonna go back and say something, because we were talking about Alan Shacklock earlier, and Alan, he was telling us all these stories, and he grew up in this area of London where all the guys in Zeppelin were from there, and Jeff Beck
Donovan.
and
Donovan.
Donovan, and
it was a close community.
And
and
McCartney, I think he said was there.
yeah, and what I was gonna say is, it's like when you're in California and you realize that the Eagles lived above Jackson Browne or below Jackson Browne, one of the 2, I don't remember what, and they learned how to write songs by listening to Jackson Browne write songs, and, Crosby, Stills, and Nash all met at Joni Mitchell's house, I mean, it's this community thing, and it's really cool to hear stories from the inside of just, like you said,
Well,
the
you feel a connection with all those people. It's like I never met the guys in Crosby, Stills, and Nash. However, Terry Sylvester when Graham Nash left the Hollies, he suggested Terry. He comes into the Hollies. I play with Terry all the time. So there's
Man.
that connection, you know.
Yeah.
Denny Lane. We did stuff together. We were playing together, and people go, "Wow, I mean, you know him?" And go, "Yeah, he passed away, you know, but you have a connection, so you feel it
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
personally, and you take it very personally when these guys pass away."
No question.
Well,
And so you were talking about the thing with the stories. I wrote a book a couple of years ago, a thing called Backstage Pass. It's not about drugs, sex, and rock and roll. It's just about the ridiculously funny, insane things that would go on a daily basis. I'm about to write another one called Backstage Pass, The Roadies Ate the Food. And it's because stories come to me all the time, and I
Yeah.
spend most of my time just laughing and writing these things down.
Well,
You know?
you've got that. I mean, your spirit is just built around that, man. You know, it's so refreshing. We've had so many different people on this show. We've had guitar guys that actually out of Nashville that handles the Maton guitars, the Australian guitars that Peter Frampton, Keith Urban, and Tommy Emmanuel. You know Tommy.
Right.
They all use them, but we had their guitar guy on, and but this is so much fun. We're just just listening to these stories, man. This is
Well,
great.
everything for me is funny. I
It's
mean,
gotta
it
be.
seriously is. There's something funny in it, regardless of how bad it is. And you just have to look for it. That's it.
That's awesome. That is awesome. What do you think, Mark?
You
You
know,
got
I was
anything else?
just, I don't, but I was just going to say, it has been such a pleasure to talk
Yeah.
to you. And like, just listening to you on the radio when I was a kid and talking to you now is a little surreal to me, but it is such a pleasure, and it has been so much fun. And thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us, because I know looked on your schedule, looks like you're gigging all the time. So
Pretty much, yeah.
That's awesome.
But I prefer to be gone. I couldn't figure out why I gravitated to it so easily. And then you start looking at family history, and they were always moving here, settling this, doing that, and I just kind of got that by proxy, more or less. By osmosis.
Yeah.
Comes in.
Love that. Love that. Well, we're gonna have a post-show wrap up, and after we say goodbye. So right now, we're gonna say goodbye to our
Okay.
audience, and thank you, John, for coming on the show, man.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys having me here and let me kind of, say stuff.
it's a
Love
pleasure.
it. Love it.
So.
Bye-bye.
No.
Hey, I'm Mark.
And I'm Craig. And
And
we just want to tell you to subscribe,
please,
to comment,
to help us grow this cool show.
Love you. Have a good one.
Let's do it.